see what happens?
Oh, I see it's recording.
Oh,
The
fantastic.
light is flashing.
Woo.
Yahoo.
All right. Good evening. I almost said good morning. No, Sam, it's afternoon. So I want to welcome you guys. Thanks so much for taking time out of your evening to work with us today. As per usual, we love having our conversation before the chat begins. And today we're talking about accessibility options for students with special needs that are going to be accessing their curriculums. Let me just pull that over. There we go. And today I'm going to demo Immersive Reader for you from Microsoft. Kris is going to talk about some Google tools for accessibility. And then towards the end of our talk today, we have a special secret guest joining us. And she'll be sharing about how to get Google Certified Level 1. Certified Educator Level 1. Yes. So there's no time like the present. Let's get bebopping and ready to roll here.
There it is. Hashtag bebop.
Hashtag bebop.
Love it.
I love it. That's so fun. In case you're wondering, we don't practice before any of it. We just
I'm sure it's not obvious.
I just wanted to make sure. All right. So today I'm going to be showing Immersive Reader. And before I jump into it, I want to show you guys a little bit about this tool. Now think about, what are some of the most common accommodations that you need to make for your students with special needs when it comes to accessing material online? I want you to drop your message down in the chat for everyone to see. I want you to go on in there and let's pull up our chat. And I want you to drop in there, what are some of the most common accommodations that you make for your students with special needs to access the curriculum? Zooming in and magnifying. That's a great one, Morgan. What else do we got? Extended time. Yes. Read aloud. Absolutely. Text-to-speech is a huge one. Changing the format, size, and font. Speech to text. And text-to-speech, guess to say vice versa. Chunking the text. Listening while reading. Communicating orally. That's a great one, Peyton. Dictating answers, isolation for test taking. Maybe that means maybe taking a test like in a more quiet space.
Yeah, like in a cubicle or something.
Yeah, like in a cubicle, yeah. Very good. All right, so we are all on the same page here, and I'm going to show you a tool that's going to knock your teacher socks off. So hopefully you're wearing your favorite teacher socks. I sadly am not. But if I were, they'd be totally knocked off by the end of this presentation, because this tool that I'm going to show you, it's free. It's a cross-platform, so you can use it on any device, iPad, Microsoft Office 365, laptops, phones, the whole shebang, and I am so excited to show you. So it's called Immersive Reader, and Microsoft has really been going like gangbusters when it comes to accessibility. They made this program called Immersive Reader Microsoft Learning Tools, and what it does, it helps to encourage students to read independently, and I'm going to show you some really cool features that it has. And whenever I show this tool to my future teachers, they're like, oh, I wish I had this tool. It's so cool, because you can use it across platform, like I said, and here's some of the options that they have available. OneNote, which I'm going to demo in a little bit here. It works all across Office 365. It's embedded right within Microsoft Edge, which, friends, Edge is not Internet Explorer. It's not your grandma's Internet Explorer. It is an amazing browser that has accessibility built right in. It's also available on Office Lens. So as we talk today, I would like you guys to download Microsoft Office Lens. It's right here in orange, and download it to your device. And we're going to do a quick demo of that as well, because I think this is a really fun tool to take notes and make it accessible for your students. So how many times, professors in the audience, have you had students take notes like this? And they hold their phone up and they take a picture. Yes, I've had students do that as well. Office Lens will actually clean up that picture, make it a PDF, make it OCR readable, and you can also save it as a Word doc. So there's tons of fun stuff we're going to talk about with that. Cool. Anywho, available across platform. It is free, and you can put your own material in here. But let me demo it for y'all really quick. So if I go to try Immersive Reader, I'm just in their demo mode, and I'll show you some different ways that you can access some of the content here. So if I play this, play it, it's going to read the text aloud. Okay, you're like, okay, Sam, that's great. What else does it do? Let me show you. So if I go down to my volume settings, I can increase the voice speed, and I can change the voice selection. I can also do some different stuff with text preferences. Now, for my friends who had a common accommodation that they make is font size increase. Bada bing! Look at that. I can pull it all the way up there. I can decrease it as well. It also reads math. So for my math teachers out there, can I get a whoop whoop because it reads math? I can also, I love this tool if you can't tell. It also does increase spacing. So if you can watch my screen really quickly, I'll turn it on and off. So you'll notice whenever it's on, increase spacing between each line of text, the words, and the individual characters. So I can increase the spacing. I can change my font. The most one like the dyslexia font is the Comic Sans. For whenever I was teaching, I had a student who had I forget what exactly the disability was, but he couldn't see very well, and he needed contrast on his pages. So he enjoyed having a black background with a white text, and I can switch all that up. What's really nice about this tool is it saves across your device. So I always, I love purple. So I always have purple up on my screen, and it always looks the same for me, and it saves my settings individually. So if you have students on Chromebooks that are each assigned different numbers or a different Chromebook, it'll automatically save those settings for them. So that is fantastic. And if that hasn't knocked your teacher socks off already, let's hop into some grammar options. So I can break it down, and let's do some beatboxing here. Oh, cool. And I can break it into syllables, so I can break each word down. And remember, I can still be reading.
But we can't hear that, Dr. Sam.
Oh, sorry.
We can't hear the,
So I can still have it read aloud, and it's playing in my ears here, probably because I have it set to my headphones. I can also highlight parts of speech, and I can change that here. So I can change my parts of speech, and I can turn that off and on. So if I want students to, let's look for the describing words in our sentence, we can pull that up, and I can also show labels of those different parts of speech here if I wanted to do that. You'll notice down here there's other languages, and that's where we're going to get into reading preferences. So for some of our friends, some of the accommodations that you make are focusing on different lines, and this does this exact same thing. So how many of you in the chat, just type in yes, how many of you have been in a classroom where maybe they use a note card to go line by line as they read, or maybe they have like that highlighter tape on a note card and it highlights and they can just pull it down, something like that. I forget what reading guides, I don't know what they're called, but something like that. And it looks like we have, and that's a really common thing to have. But if I turn on this line focus, notice my screen, it'll go dark, it'll focus it on one line. I can still play it through and it'll highlight as I go, or I can do 3 lines, or I can do 5 lines. And as it reads, it'll just scroll down the page. Another really nice feature of Immersive Reader is that Boardmaker, which is a company who creates symbols, communication boards, things like that for students with special needs that have a hard time accessing text. They have pictures paired with their content. So Boardmaker and Microsoft partnered on this. And if I click on one of these words, it'll give me a picture of the word. So I have a visual representation. I can listen to just that one word. I'm not going to click because you guys can't hear it anyway. And I have these 2 different visual representations of the word. I can keep clicking through here, and you'll notice down here I have a translation option. So this is a really cool feature of Microsoft Immersive Reader. I can translate this document by individual words. So if I click through, I can translate by individual words, but I can also translate the entire document. So if I click document here, it's going to take some think time. Here's my French, and I can actually read it aloud in French to me. I'm not going to play it because you can't hear it. And then I can flip back to the original. So I can be flipping back and forth from translation to my original text. This is a great option for our students who are English language learners, and I can have that available to them. Now, hopefully by this time in the talk, we have Office Lens downloaded on our device. I want you to type in yes in the chat if you have it ready to rock and roll. If it's downloaded and ready to go.
Dr. Sam, while they're doing that,
yeah.
For most of our students in Frostburg, we have, obviously Microsoft is the way that we have Office 360, is that what it's called, for our email?
Yeah.
And it's one of our add-ons. So I don't know if you'll have time during your chat to maybe tell us, like, I've looked at it as an add-on in my email, but I just don't even know what I would do with it.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to show you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pull up a team and show
if you have time. Yeah,
absolutely.
Looks like people are saying yes, that they have things downloaded.
Okay, so let me discard that image. So once you guys open up your app, you should see several options. Do you want to take a picture of a whiteboard, a document, a business card, or a photo? I usually always go with document, and I have some notes here. So I'm gonna take a picture of it. And you'll see it cleans it up just a little bit. So I want you guys to take a picture of something around you with words, like a handout or anything that you have notes on. You can edit right on that screen if you wanted to add in some text or circle something or draw like a mind map around it, or maybe circle some important words. And you can click done as well. So once you click done, you'll notice it'll say, well, where do you want to save this to? And you can save it to your gallery. You can save it as a PDF. You can also save it as a Word OCR document. And what's really cool about the Word OCR document is that if you have a cooperating teacher who is like, oh, I'm so excited that you're here. Here's all my resources I ever made. It gives you all the resources. You can actually just take a picture of them with your phone.
Cool.
And create them and save them as Word documents. What's nice about that is if you have a resource that your teacher's like, hey, can you adapt this really quick? I need some font sizing on that, and I need updated photos. Take a picture of it as an OCR Word document. It'll make its own Word document with that content. And all you have to do is you don't have to retype anything. You can just make changes right on the document, which is so helpful and saves tons of teacher time.
Yeah.
I once had students work on a project where they adapted material for a VOTEC class. And the VOTEC class had lots of manuals and things like that. Some of them were older than others. So what they did was they took pictures of the different pages, and they uploaded them as OCR documents. They were able to make changes to the questions, change the fonts. They were able to add updated pictures and share that back out. So that was a really neat way to use that tool, and it saved tons of teacher time when it came to preparing the materials. Microsoft Edge has Microsoft Learning Tools embedded right within it, as does OneNote, and I'm going to pull that up here too. So what I love about OneNote is, there we go, is that you can just embed these learning tools right within it. It's just an add-on that you just go right into. If you Google Microsoft Learning Tools OneNote, there's an add-on. You just click download, and it'll download them right to your device. Here you go. You have your Immersive Reader right here. It has all those options that I showed you earlier. You can also dictate your text, so as you talk, it'll type, which is awesome. Another cool feature of OneNote that I love for accessibility are the page templates. And sorry, I kind of got lost here. I got all excited here. If I go to insert, I can do different page templates. And this is a really neat way for students to be able to focus in on what they need to be learning that day. And they have these available to you. So you can go in. If I were back in college, I would totally be using this, because now I can segment where's my homework, what are the announcements from the class, what are the like 3 main takeaways from class, any questions the professor or teacher said that I should probably know for its final coming up. And this is, they have some really nice ways to structure your learning. So you can go and you can take all your notes. Then you get a summary. You write a little summary of your notes, and you have that available to you. So it's nice and structured in that way. You can also attach PowerPoint. So how many of you get PowerPoints from your professors? Yeah, I'm one of those people too. And you can actually attach the file right within here, and it'll embed the file presentation right within your notes, and you can take notes anywhere on the screen within OneNote. It's kind of like that old school Trapper Keeper, you know, from the 90s that we all carried around with the big rainbow on. I might have a rainbow and like a unicorn, but you can totally rock that with OneNote, because it's a digital 3D binder, or digital binder that, that you can use, 3-ring binder, that you can use to keep all of your notes. Another really cool feature about OneNote is you can record audio. And what's also really cool is that audio, you can encode it. So if you know that your professor said something really important happened in 1776, but you just don't know what it could possibly be, you can search your notes, and it'll search the audio, and it'll pull up that exact phrase that the professor said using that word, and it'll go right to your notes, because it'll sync with your notes. It is amazing. So that's a really cool feature within OneNote. Another really cool thing that I wanted to show you was, summaries. So if I'm making my notes, and let's say I need to look up Tommy DePalma's books. I need I need to look up some webinars, and I need to listen to an amazing podcast. Shameless plug here. And I'm going to highlight all these as to-do tags. Look, for those of you, just a side note, for those of you who love to like check stuff off, look, I can check it off. But I love that part. But what I like is if I go to find tags, I can do a summary. Let me move you up there, Kris. I can click here and click create a summary page, and it's going to pull all the things I tagged as important or tagged as to do, and it's going to make it its own little summary page. Here it is. So if I'm studying for a test and I know that my teacher said I should probably know this one fact, I can tag it as important, and then I can have a study sheet already ready to rock and roll. That's a little bit of OneNote. It was really quick. But I wanted to show you that learning tools can be embedded within OneNote. Another really cool thing is that, remember we talked about Nearpod last week? Learning tools, Immersive Reader learning tools are also embedded within Nearpod. So if I see this little symbol, I can click on it. It's going to take the text from my slide. And now, look, I have my accessibility features right here, right within my Nearpod slide. So I'll show you that again. So on my presentation, I have my learning tools. And here I can just go through, I can listen to it, and it's now accessible text to speech. I can do my contrast, my text resizing, my translations. Also, Buncee has Immersive Reader embedded within it, along with Flipgrid. So there's lots of technology companies that are coming alongside Microsoft and are just embedding these tools, because it does help everybody learn. It's not just for students with special needs, it's for anybody. I love using Immersive Reader, honestly. I'll be cleaning my office whenever I had my office, I'd be putting papers away, but I would have Immersive Reader on, reading an article to me from EdWeb or from EdWeek or whatever, and I can just listen to it as I go. So I want you to drop in the chat what's one new idea that you got from today's talk, and if you're feeling brave, pop it out on social media using #FutureTeachersLead, and I will pop that down here, Future Teachers Lead.
I have a
pop
quick
that
question.
out on social. Morgan, I'm so excited that you mentioned Wakelet. Yes, there are so many edtech companies like Wakelet, Nearpod, Buncee, Flipgrid that have really embraced this immersive reader. So fantastic. Yay, Morgan. Awesome sauce. All right, my dear, you are up.
All right, so you'll stop sharing your screen.
Yes.
Maybe.
I have a quick question, Chris.
Oh, sure. Christina, go.
On the Immersive Reader, is there, does it create leveled, does it modify the reading material based on the student's reading level?
No, it does not modify the material based on their reading level. There is another tool. Can I show you really quick?
And then there are websites too, Christina.
Yeah. Do you want to show?
Well, I mean, I would just ramble them off. My kids actually would probably be really better at this, but we talk with about using ReadWorks, which is a .org, and then Newsy LA, of course.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think. We just came across, and I'm going to ask my Mats, Common Lit. Is that a leveled? Yep, I'm getting a heads up from them. That's a site that we just discovered from a presenter in one of my classes last week.
But is Read Theory, because I've used, or ReadWorks, I know that's on things they've already have, but from things that we create, are we?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And
to level what we're doing. I mean, you know, if you go into that Fleisch Kincaid in Word, it's a tool that you can use, and it'll give you the readability level. Now, of course, it's on a formula. It's not perfect,
right?
But it'll do it based on like how many syllables are in a word, how many words are in a sentence, those kinds of things. But it'll at least give you an idea, because I used to use that when I would send newsletters out to make sure that my newsletter wasn't written on like a 12th grade. I tried to keep it a little more like 4th or 5th grade readability level, so that my families could get through it quickly. But yeah.
Right. Okay. I was just wondering if you could copy and paste what you have, and they can
give you a readability on it or switch it up.
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
Not yet.
Not that I know of.
Let's say not
yet.
Oh,
I like that. Not yet.
Because it's questions like that where people are like, oh, that's something we can do. And then they make it happen fast, which is cool.
All right. Thank you.
Good question. Thanks, Christina. And did you find what you wanted to share, Dr. Sam?
I was just going to email Mike Tolsvin from Microsoft and ask him that. So I'm tweeting him.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I'm going to see if I am still able to share my screen. And let me grab. Okay. I'm going to go here. So I dropped in the chat early, and I found out with, by doing this, that once somebody comes on, if they were not in when you first put something in the chat, they don't get any of it.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way. So when I'm finished, I'll drop the document back into the chat. So, and it's nothing other than a list. It's just a laundry list of the things that I'm sharing. And so Dr. Sam asked me if I would do 2 different types of add-ons. So I'm going to start with Google Chrome, a couple add-ons that are just, I don't know, lifesavers for me, things that I need and I love. And then I do have just a couple Google tools that are add-ons for slides or docs. So we'll keep it kind of short and kind of sweet, because I saw that Carly Shockey is in the house, and she's going to talk to us about becoming Google certified. So for first, this is my favorite one, because as I am the person who has 25,000 things going, like I'm sure all of you are multitaskers, I always have a million tabs open, and my son has a heart attack when he sees it, and he's like, Mom, seriously, he's like, you're killing your computer. So one of my students a couple years ago introduced me to the add-on Toby. And if you look, it's this little guy right here that I'm pointing to. If you click on that, I added it as a Chrome add-on. So all you have to do is Google it as a Chrome add-on, and it'll come up and it'll allow you to install it. But here's the great thing about it. It's more than just a bookmarking tool, because it allows me to create collections. And so you can see, I won't scare you, but I have a ton of collections of things. And specifically, I have collections made for this presentation. So these are my add-ons that I wanted to show you, which I'll grab those in a moment. But it allows me to close all the tabs that I normally have open in my Chrome browser. And it's apparently a bad thing. I love it though. But anyway, all you do is you create, just push on the button here. I will show you. To create, it's chasing me, I'm following around, but I can add, where's my button? I can
Kris,
add
we
a
have
collection.
we have a question in the chat.
Sure.
Can you add tabs to more than one collection?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So all you want to do is once you have, I don't have any tabs open, so that's my problem. So if I open a tab, let me do that so that it shows you some things. Open another tab. So they're adding up at the top. Well, then if you want to click and drag them, it's a simple click and drag. So, well, simple when your internet's working, right? So I got a little cocky. Okay, so when you create your collection over here, it allows me to just pull them. My videos are in the way. You guys are in the way. I need to move you. Hold on. I was hopeful, Sam, that my lag wouldn't happen with you being the one recording.
We were wrong.
I was wrong. It's still such a drag. Okay. So let me do a refresh and my tabs will appear over here on the side. Well, my computer's gonna make a liar out of me. Am I the only one that has trouble when they're presenting online with this kind of drag lag? Because yours just runs so smoothly, Sam, when you're doing it.
I actually have problems whenever I do my class. We were doing virtual reality today. I'm like, hey guys, let's do all these things. And it's like, no.
Yeah, not happening.
No.
Well, and mine is still saying, no, not happening. Well, I don't know what to do until it happens. I mean, there's nothing I can show you with that until it actually, it's slowly thinking about coming back to life. And this is what I'm worried about for all my teacher friends who are starting e-learning online, just the amount of stress that's going to be on the internet with everybody being on and trying to do Zoom and I'm just waiting for the internet to like, quote unquote, break.
And Kris and everybody, this is exactly what I worried about too.
Yeah, this is every day.
It happens just like this. And I've seen this stuttering thing happen just the other day when we were online. And
yeah.
Don't go off. Whatever you're doing, just stay put because I wouldn't know what to do if that happens, you know?
Well,
so.
What you do is you do a little song and dance like I'm doing, Fania. and just like we were talking in group the other day, that it's almost like you want to expect it and for the kids to be okay. It's like that awkward wait time that we experience when we're in a face-to-face class, and it's okay. But here's what happens when my, can you see my tabs on the side now on my bar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yay. Okay, so I will just take it and you drag it and you just throw it into your, wherever you've made your little shortcut. So here's this one, and then I can close them. I can open up others up and get in, and you'll have a heart attack of all the tabs that I had open. Well, it tells you right there that I had 29 tabs open. So, all right. The other things that I have, let me close that because that'll make people scared. I'm going to keep this one open. But the other add-ons that I have for Google Chrome that I love, and I'm not going to click on it just because I feel like it's going to be ridiculous for time to take it over. But the elephant that's up here that I'm pointing to is Evernote. And Evernote is also an option just similar to Toby, where you can save websites, you can save articles, and again, you can create collections just like I've done here, little shortcuts. So if I want to click into it, guys, but I'm just afraid that if I do it, it's just not going to take me there. So if you Google Evernote, I will click on it and I'll see if it'll open up for you. But it is nothing other than just like a housekeeping tool, which it'll allow you to create the titles. So if mine opens up, I've been using Evernote for a long time. So I have course titles in there, but I also have things that I was working on. Oh, look, it won't allow me to open it. The other things that I have in my browser bar that I love, some of you probably love and use Padlet, and maybe you didn't know that it had a shortcut or what they call as an add-on, but you can add it there, so it'll take you directly to your Padlet. And then I also have Grammarly. That is one of my favorites. That actually allows all of my tools that are in like Microsoft with my email. Also, when I'm working in Canvas, that tool will go through and do a nice little editor spell check for me while I'm typing, which I absolutely positively rely on and appreciate. I do a lot of searches for Google, like scholarly articles. So there's an add-on for Google Scholar. And then the last one that I wanted to show you are the last two over here. For Zoom, it has its own little shortcut that you can add as an add-on in your Chrome bar. It just takes you one step right to creating your Zoom session. And then I am a sucker for a Bitmoji. And so you can go in there and then you can just click and drag them into an email or into a document or into Canvas or wherever I am that I'm working. Okay, so let me go to, I'm hoping I can go to the Google form. This is a Google Doc. And there are several things that I like with Google add-ons that you can do. And again, to grab them, just like Dr. Sam was saying, you would just Google whatever the one is. You can just, I think Google Play is where a lot of them are located. But for me, I'll just type in the something that I'm looking for and it'll appear. And so Translate is something that a lot of our students need because they have a large EL population. And so you can put Translate in, and the great thing about it is you can type, and I've got an example here just because I knew my computer would not cooperate with me, but you can type in the text that you want, and then the add-on, if it'll allow it, I'm going to show you all the add-ons that I have actually in Google Docs. It'll pop up on the right side of the screen. So if we click, here we go. And Translate is right here. If I click on it, it's going to appear over here. It'll give me the choice to start. And it is something that is user-friendly and very easy. So when it appears on the right side of the screen, what you can do is I just typed something that, you know, I think I had sent out to students. And I was just playing around. This is finish here. And what'll happen is you just copy and you'll paste it into the box that's going to appear, which is, you know, working at a snail's pace. But then it'll have a drop down for you to be able to select any language that you can think of. So here's where you drop it. You put it into this box, and the drop down has so many. I don't know if you can see all of the options of languages, but I know that Mandarin is a popular language in our area. And also, I also have a couple families that speak Zulu. And it's nice to have all of these different options. So when you type it, then it appears in the box translated. And then I just copied and pasted, put it here so you could see it. So Google Translate is,
cool.
I know, but again, just like anything, like I'm sure you know too, Dr. Sam, it doesn't always translate exactly the way to make perfect sense. So if you have access to a person, you know, a person's always going to be the best tool. But then the other couple add-ons I wanted to show you for Google Docs, and then just one last one I wanted to take you into Google Slides. This is similar to what you were talking about with Immersive Reader, except it's the flip. So this is something that for my reluctant writers, this is a great opportunity, or even for my littles when they are just learning to write. They can actually add this on to their document. So once it allows me to show you the drop down, it's just called, I think it's called type text. And the kids, there'll be a microphone that'll appear. So let me show you my add-ons. Maybe. And what I had put in the document for you to see, I actually talked into my computer. Again, I put it on there ahead of time because I knew it was going to be difficult and challenging. So I'm just waiting for it to appear. But ultimately over here on the left side, there'll be a little recorder that just looks like a microphone, and you click on it and you just start talking, and it will take everything. And when I say everything, I have my radio on, my Google Play, or my Google Home was playing my Sirius XM for me, and it actually started recording some of the things that my Google Songs were singing. And I was like, oh, good to know that the microphone's pretty powerful. So that add-on is awesome. I love it. And I really think it was super helpful for my students who really were not wanting to type, or they struggled with it, or they had issues about spelling and all the squiggly lines that would appear. So it was a confidence builder to help them just get something on the page. And then this one's kind of cool. There are so many word cloud creators out there that I use Mentimeter, I use Poll Everywhere or Poll Everyone, but this is one that's in Word doc. So you could punch it out to your class in Google Classroom, you could give them the link, you could do whatever. And I'm gonna close out the talk type one. And I went ahead and typed one ahead so that we could see it. So it would have been awesome for us to play along, but I've learned that my internet is just too wonky. So you would push this out to your students and ask them, maybe during the beginning of a lesson or at the end of a lesson, or even in the middle, give me a word that is resonating. It kind of reminds me of text rendering, when my students would read a passage and tell me a word that resonates with them. Doesn't necessarily have to be a word that's in the article or in the text. It could just be something that they're hearing over and over, like, wow, this article is talking about motivation, but it never actually says it. And so everyone would have the opportunity to type in their word, and then to the right, and it's probably not going to let me show you, which this is really starting to make me frustrated. So Fania, I feel ya on this, but what happens is,
well, Chris, Chris,
yeah,
you guys do online instruction. So imagine like me, who is coming into it cold. So
right.
It's really scary.
It is scary. But the thing that I want to say to you is, for me, when I'm working with my class, I've taught my mats online when we were in Jan term, and I didn't have this kind of lag. I really don't know if it's just, I think it's compiled with all of the people who are online right now, and just the stress on Wi-Fi in general, and on these tools that we're sharing and we're showing. I think it's just that it's such an oh my goodness, an overwhelming thing right now, or time. Yeah. And because honestly, I have Matt's in here right now, and you guys can drop in the chat and say, we actually were able to do things unlike right now. And now I don't even know why it's telling me to get add-ons. Good grief. But this comes up as a word cloud. And again, over here on the right appears the document. Oh, hello, thank you. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna click on the word generator, and maybe it'll let me show you. Wouldn't it be awesome if it would? But the word cloud appears. It gives you two different fonts, and honestly, guys, they look exactly the same, quite honestly. I'm gonna go with modern, no big deal. And it's gonna show you, I can download this, the document once it creates it in a word cloud, and I probably should just go with classic. Hopefully it'll appear over here. But the thing that I wanted to let you know is I put an example here. So you see stronger together and better together. I wanted to let you know that in this particular model or platform, it only takes the first word. So if a student were to type in a phrase, it's only going to grab their first word. And when it puts it together, obviously the word that is the most prominent is the one that shows up bigger, and then all the others are around it. Oh, it is maybe gonna happen, friends. Maybe. Wouldn't it be awesome? I should have downloaded it to show you, but hopefully it's generating. And I don't want to eat up too much more time, because I told Carly that she would be on at like well, probably like now, 6:45-ish, 6:40. All right, let's give it a second and see if it'll let you see it. And I guess everybody probably already knows what a word cloud looks like. So I think my biggest thing was I wanted you to understand that it would not take phrases, that it only is going to allow you to see the first word that the students were to type in. All right, I'm going to pass off on that for now. What's making me sad is that I did have a little interactive add-on, and I don't know whether it'll let us play, but we'll give it a go. So last week, Dr. Sam shared Nearpod. I'm a huge Nearpod fan, but I had been introduced to Pear Deck a couple of years ago by one of my students. And I had thought about it, played around with it, and then stepped away from it. But when I went back to looking at my add-ons, I'm like, oh my gosh, I put this in and I forgot all about it. And it is a really cool add-on that goes into Google Slides. So it's like a mashup, just like we were saying in Nearpod, that you can pull in Google Slides or you can pull in PowerPoint. This actually allows you to access slides from Pear Deck while you're in Google Slides. So if I were to open the add-on, I already made one, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to show it to you. If it allows me, that's awesome, but maybe what we need to do is give it a second, and if it doesn't come up, I'm going to jump over to Carly, and then maybe I can open mine while I'm not sharing my screen, and when I do share my screen again, then we can see it. That might be a better use of our time.
That sounds great.
Carly,
hey, Kris, we have one question in the chat here.
Sure.
So Nearpod and Pear Deck, they're both different types of content presentation tools that you can have formative assessment, you can throw in content, pop in different ways to show students content. I think they're pretty similar. They're just different ways to present content and engage students in learning, right?
Yeah, so Pear Deck, I mean, it's loading now that I've stopped sharing my screen. So when we're finished with Carly, if people don't mind, it might be a little bit after 7, but I am more than happy to pull it up because they have already created little slides that are interactive and they're engaging. So, and they have things for social emotional. So for kids, for you to drop in something and say, all right, let's just do a temperature of the room. Let me know where you are. How overwhelmed are you feeling? Or let's stretch. Let's do a quick stretch for like 5 minutes. So, and it had pre-made for littles. It had pre-made for math, science, social studies. It's really kind of cool. And you can just pull it right into your slideshow and then kind of go. So we'll come back to it.
Yay!
And we'll let Carly do her thing because she's going to talk about becoming Google Certified Level 1, right? Carly Shockey, introducing the infamous and famous Carly Shockey.
I don't know about that. Nice to meet everyone. I'm excited to sign on. This is cool. I wish I would have signed on earlier. Talking with all of our teachers who are like in a mini panic after today, but yeah. Okay, so I guess the first thing I would want to talk about with you is becoming Google certified. Is anyone already Google certified? So this is a project that I actually just completed with a colleague of mine named Lisa Scampiero. She was my coach. And in order to do this, you go onto your teacher center with google.com/training. And I can share my, hold on, let me share my thing with you.
I hope your sharing screen works better than my sharing.
I minimize, there we go, okay. I know I worry about lag too. All right,
mine's
so
crazy.
This is your Google for Education center. And then you can start by doing your fundamental training. Now, I logged out, so I'm not signed in anymore, but you have to go through these modules. Oh, now it's gonna make me sign in. That's okay. And in each module, you actually learn a lot. So I'm pretty Google friendly, pretty techie, and I learned stuff in every single module. So it took me about 12 hours to go through the modules. And then you actually take a test. So you can take a 3-hour test at the end of the modules and get your Google Cert Level 1 for educators. So it was pretty awesome. I learned tons of stuff that I apply in my classroom all the time. So one example of something that I learned, oh, I think it's getting laggy, is we created a e-learning kickoff for my class today. So this is something that kids are going to review with their families prior to our first Zoom session next Monday. And on the Google course, I learned things like you can embed videos. So I embedded a kid president video, and then I also can embed things like a timer. So the video is about making good choices and overcoming, difficulties. And then the next slide that they do with their family is to chat about the good choices that they're going to make together and they're going to do that for 5 minutes. So that's just one example of things that I learned in that class.
Ms. Shockey?
Yeah.
We have a question in the chat asking, is the training free or is there a cost?
Yes. So the training is free. It's free to do. The cost is $10 for the actual test. And when you pay the $10, you get a code that is active for 1 week. And then you can take the test at any time during that week. The test was hard. It was about 2.5 hours. You have 3 hours total to take it. And it has a couple of different pieces. So the first piece is just asking questions about your knowledge of Google and all of its platforms. And then the second piece is actually working through some problems and some modules. So you enter into like a fake live Google that doesn't belong to you. And you have to do all of these tasks in order to prove that you're efficient. So everyone that I've talked to, if they've failed it, they don't fail on the knowledge, they run out of time. So you have to work pretty quickly in order to get all of the tasks completed.
And did you not say to me that you could continue to take it over within that window that you've paid, right? You paid for a week access to it? Or
no, so you take it, you have one chance to take it in the window. And then I'm not positive on these dates, but I believe if you don't pass, then you have to wait 14 days and then pay another $10. And then I think if you fail it a third time, you have to redo your modules.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure about that.
Okay.
But even
that's a couple things asking
Okay.
And you have to take the test to be officially and pass it to be officially putting that little badge out on social media saying that,
you do,
I am certified.
Correct.
Right.
And the certification lasts for 36 months. So in 3 years, you have to retake the course. But even if you don't take it to test and get the badge, I would take it just because I learned so many new things about Google that I never knew before.
Sure.
And I'm pretty innovative. Like I'm always looking for new things. So it was awesome to actually learn new stuff about Google that I love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And are you currently working to do
Google too?
Uh-huh.
I want to, yes. But right now with
Awesome.
everything switching to be online, I think I might need like a little break. But it's a goal. It's
understandable, right?
Yeah.
So does anybody have any other questions? Because I'm actually loading my Pear Deck so that I can go back and show that.
I put the chat up here.
I want to show it.
3 years. Yeah, $10. Do you have to take the test or just do the training? You can just do the training. You don't have to take the test. Actually, one of my good girlfriends, Miss Wolf, she is not interested in taking the test, but she did the training and she feels the same way as I do. She learned tons of stuff from it.
Perfect.
Is there a way to practice weak spots? I'm concerned about the sheets portion. That's funny. So yes. So if you Google practice, I forget how you word it, but just Google start practice examples. It will, you can be prompted to take a couple of different sessions. Also, if you work through all the modules on the cert, if you work through all the modules in the training, there wasn't anything that was super alarming. The hardest part for me was the YouTube part because you have to make a playlist and do different things. And I was just not really super familiar with that. Also, I took it under a trainer. So there are people who are Google certified as trainers. And so her name is Lisa Scampiero. She works for Washington County. She's the one that kind of led this PD for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So did anybody else have any questions as we're looking? I'm just looking to see.
And the sheets question. So I spent some time on each Google application just kind of fooling around and clicking it around and looking at different functions for sheets, looking at how to make a bar graph, a pie graph, a dynamic graph. So yeah, that's how I learned, just kind of playing around with it.
Just want to pop in here and share that Microsoft too has courses and stuff you can take to learn their content and their software as well. They have courses, they have learning paths, and with them you get badges to go along the way. So if you're looking for some PD, I saw somebody dropped in the chat that they're a student teacher, they're looking for professional development. I would definitely check out Google and check out Microsoft as well. You can really dig deep into some awesome content and then put that on your resume, because they're amazing resume boosters. And I'm sure after this time of need, that's something administrators are going to look for. Are you Google certified? Are you Microsoft certified? Those types of things. And like we had talked about last week, you can get certified in different educational technology tools. Like you become a Nearpod certified teacher, you become a Flipgrid ambassador, a Buncee ambassador. So look through some of these tech companies and see if you can take their training about their tech tool. You'll learn a lot and you'll get some really cool ideas.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I took the Google test maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I've already had multiple principals emailing me asking if I could help them and help their staff. So in just 2 weeks, now I know the times are crazy and it's ironic that I just passed that, but that's definitely so true that people are going to be looking for experts in that field.
Absolutely. That's a great point. That's a great point. Thanks, Carly.
All right, I'm going to do this. Tag on it. I am going to share my screen as we kind of wrap up. Thank you, Carly, Shaki. You're amazing. All right. Can you guys see my screen now or no?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So the add-on is just up in the drop-down and it appears, that's sort of the pattern. All the add-ons appear on the right side of your screen, and then you can do whatever it is that you want to do in the middle of the page. So I went ahead and walked in through what are available, what little slides are available. That's the difference. People were asking in the chat, is this free or is it something you have to pay for? So I actually still have the free version of Pear Deck, and it comes with this collection on the side, which I love how they have them categorized too. So the slides that you would possibly put at the beginning of your lesson are all in this little tab here for beginning of a lesson. So things that would launch your lesson. Then there are more slides offered in this during your lesson and then your end of your lesson. But then they even have them parceled out by critical thinking, social emotional, and then some sample questions, things that are specific for your littles, math, science, social studies, world languages, and English language arts. So what I did was I put together a slideshow, which I am scared to try. So I know Fania's feeling me right now. If I were to actually punch this and have it go through, this is something I could push out to my students. But it's on this little slide because I thought it was kind of cool. But the very beginning, this is where I would start with my students, right? Pear Deck has all of these ready-made slides. And so I would talk about the ones that are for opening a lesson. And the kids could interact with this just like on Nearpod, like Dr. Sam was talking about last week. So if they have a touch screen or this is text, so they could text and just type right on here 2 things or draw 2 things that they already know about using Pear Deck. And then I just picked a couple of slides to show you what the opening slides options that they have. You could do a mind map. So again, kids could type or they could draw depending on if they have that option, if they were on an iPad. Then some slides that came from the activities that you would do during your lesson. You have some things like this, like kids could listen to a story. You can actually embed the YouTube video right here, and then they could draw a picture or type their response. This slide you can actually change. So, I'm thinking especially about in today's times where you're trying to get the kids directions, like here's what they need to do first, second, third. And then if you were in Zoom, you could put kids into private little rooms and they could talk to one another if they are fast finishers. This is an example of a slide that is a sample for science, but just showing you that kids could actually text on here to do the labeling. And then here's another during the activity slide. Why? Explain how you got your answer. Again, they could click on it or draw on it depending on what device they're on. And then I pulled from the social emotional collection, which is the one you saw when you first came in, because this is definitely a big thing for my students. We talk about being bucket fillers all the time. And so, just to get an idea how kids are feeling right now, like what is making them happy and lifting them up and what is actually draining them right now. This is also a great one, I thought, for doing a stress check. I saw this demonstrated, and what happens is it appears where kids will type in and it becomes all these lines, right? And you can see, and hopefully most of your lines are up here where kids are feeling like they're in a good space. But at the same time, you might see a couple kids down here. It doesn't give their name. It just shows you the strike through. And as the teacher, I do believe you're able to get in to see who is where so that you could send them a private message and check on them one-on-one. Oh, and I did pull the slide for the stretch break, which she's a great little yoga girl there. And then to wrap up your lesson, here were a couple of the slides that I thought I would use. So drawing conclusions, again, kids could type or they could text or record it with, write on their screen if they have an iPad. And then here were examples about connecting to your own life. And then just having your basic exit tickets, some things that you liked from today, what you didn't like, what was easy, what was hard. That's sometimes how I just end out my class anyway. Just give me some feedback on how things were going. The word cloud finally came up. So I wanted you to see, based on the words that were listed over here, stronger was first, and it's the more prominent word, which is why it's obviously the biggest, but overwhelmed is coming up, stressed is coming up, and then the others are here, teeny tiny. And again, my point being that if a student types a phrase, you're only going to see that initial word. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So
That was excellent. I love those check-ins on Pear Deck.
I did too.
That's
I did
awesome.
too. I'm going to drop into the chat my doc so that people can have that.
Perfect.
And then I guess we are pretty much coming to a close, gang. It's about done. Yeah.
Morgan shared that there is a 60-day code with the Cult of Pedagogy for Pear Deck. So we dropped that in the chat as well. And also Pear Deck has an ambassador program.
Awesome. And then I see Morgan says, it's synchronous. Well, here's the thing that I learned when I was looking at it, because I hadn't used it. I watched a quick little video and I loved this because you can't do this in Nearpod, at least not to my knowledge. When you're in Pear Deck, you can switch in the moment from synchronous to asynchronous without having to exit out, which I thought was kind of a cool thing. And then I can automatically insert a slide in the moment too. They have polling like Nearpod does. So, I mean, they all, like, everything has its pros and its cons and all the good things, but I thought that was kind of a cool thing that I could switch mid-gear. So if I'm having trouble with my computer lagging, I could be like, you know what, y'all, you just need to, I'm going to push it out and you can just do it at your own pace because my computer is not cooperating.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, kind of cool. So I know we didn't talk, Dr. Sam, about what we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
I have a couple ideas, but I thought we would
lay them on me, babe. What you got?
I thought we would ask them to drop in the chat, like, what they might be interested in. I know that I would love to talk about Ed Puzzle. I just think that's kind of a cool tool to use, but I'm just worried about, will I be able to actually demonstrate it?
Yeah.
So if you guys want to drop things in the chat, if there's anything, if there's a tool or platforms or something that you wish. Ed Puzzle did pop up.
Wow, thank you, Morgan. You are everywhere. You are on it, girl.
I love Padlet. I am a huge Padlet fan.
Yes.
I've been with Padlet since it was called Wall Wisher. Like, I'm dating myself big time.
Wow, you're like an OG Padlet fan.
Oh my gosh, like that is back in the day. Wall Wisher, yeah. And the things that Padlet does now blows Wall Wisher out of the water, of course. But
Dr. McGee, when I was your student, you taught me how to do Padlet like 9 years ago.
Oh my gosh, right?
We have a question.
Thank you, Ms. Shockey.
Oh, sorry. We have a question. Will the link be the same next week, or will there be a new link?
Well, you know what? I wasn't smart. I just scheduled my senior seminar. I started scheduling these,